Good evening. It's currently 9 p.m. and you're listening to the 9 o'clock Meltdown, showcasing favorite and up-and-coming local artists with a relaxed coffee house vibe, plus interviews, live studio performances, and more. It's all here on 91.3 KUWS Superior. Now, here's your host for the evening, Simply C.
Hi everyone, I'm your host Simply C, and I am on the phone with Nate from Pert Near Sandstone, and you, sir, are the mandolin player.
That's correct, mandolin and then fiddle as well. I kind of dual role in the band when I need to.
All right, so you're not necessarily the filler, but you're obviously a very prominent member and things, but you kind of take up what's needed.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I've been there was quite a long while where Ryan Young was playing fiddle with us, and since he's joined Trampled by Turtles now, I've been picking up the fiddle, but we always like to have guest fiddlers join us, as we will again in the future as well. So yeah, kind of wear as many hats as I need to in the group, so it's always fun. It keeps things interesting for me.
There you go, I bet. So you have to be very versatile in your instrument playing.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. So now, for people who don't really know who Pert Near Sandstone is, they are similar to Trampled by Turtles.
We have our acoustic approach is very similar. But in terms of our repertoire and in terms of our influences, I think we're pretty different. Anyone who's familiar with our groups, can kind of see that we're a little more traditional, or even quite a bit more traditional than Trampled by Turtles is.
Right.
Although we share a lot of the same influences in the local music scene and beyond. We definitely capitalize on a different approach to the music.
All right. And the local music scene of Duluth.
Duluth. Well, I'd say Minnesota in general.
Okay.
Kind of the whole wider Minnesota music scene is pretty steeped in acoustic music.
Right.
And which both of our groups are very familiar with and take as much influence as we can from the local music scene, just because it's so good. Traveling all around the country, it just reestablishes the fact that Minnesota has it going on. Minnesota, Wisconsin as well. I don't want to exclude the wider region, which has a lot of great music, but it's definitely a vibrant scene happening in that North Woods area of the country.
Right.
That a lot of people don't know about. It's the groups we're really happy to represent that scene when we're traveling around the country. I know that Trampled is very much so as well. I know the groups that go out on tour and bring that Northwood sound out to the wider country. We're definitely proud to be stewards of that scene, and and people they're getting to know it. They're getting to know it again. It's had a long history, a long legacy, coming from the folk revival back in the '60s up until now, and it's had its ebbs and flows as the different generations have developed. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yes, yeah. I was actually going to ask you what your opinion is on the Duluth music scene. What is its sound? I know for me, I would definitely say kind of the really acoustic, very down to earth, down and gritty kind of folk versions of music, basically.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it has it's an interesting way to try to summarize a whole scene.
Attempt to summarize the whole scene. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But I think that there's a really thick, the singer-songwriter tradition up in Duluth. Stemming from Bob Dylan and things of that nature. Is very prevalent. I think there's people really look at the singer-songwriters in that area, and I think that the music, the band, what ends up becoming the sound of a band in that Duluth scene is kind of singer-songwriter based as well. So you have a lot more songs than tunes. You have a lot more of a stories, with the music. So I think it's a lot more vocally driven. I think the music is.
All right.
Of course, you have a lot of great players as well that the focus on the melody and things, but I think that that the Duluth music scene, if I were to try to encapsulate it, is kind of more singer based.
Hmm. All right. Yeah, the more singer-songwriter
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And
Yeah, but it's definitely got a gritty sound. I think it's got a raw quality to it that Minnesota music scene kind of has in general, but Duluth represents that really well.
Okay.
That area, it's got kind of an earthy, yeah, like you said, it's definitely got like an earthy, it's got like dirt and earth in it, where it's not quite as polished maybe as other music scenes, but it doesn't lack quality by any means.
Oh no, not at all. And what's authentic.
Yep, definitely.
All right, sounds good. So now, how did you? Well, let's go back a little bit here. How Pert Near Sandstone? Why the name and how?
Well, it kind of came up. We basically started booking gigs early on, and we needed a name. So we were passing names around and testing things out, and I guess we kind of came up with this rural colloquialism that we think of as Minnesotan, which is this Pert Near saying that our grandfathers used to say, and we kind of wanted a localized reference in our name.
Okay.
With us saying this colloquialism, and then Sandstone just kind of came about because we wanted some type of geographical reference as well in there, and we were thinking about the Mississippi River bluffs, and we couldn't just be Pert Near. At the time, we thought, we can't just be Pert Near. We need to be Pert Near something. So we decided to call it Pert Near Sandstone in reference to the Mississippi. So it's very, very Minnesota-based, Minneapolis regionally based name. I think years later we're like, well, maybe we should have just been Pertnear, and so we just started calling ourselves Pertnear, and it's easier to reference us as Pertnear than the whole formal name. so that's basically the short story. It was a quick decision before we were booking gigs and needed to start calling ourselves by a name, and it probably had something to do with sitting around Kevin's house drinking beer and watching the Timberwolves, which is how our band started in general.
All right. Well, sounds like a humble beginning.
Yep.
All right. And your name definitely has a ring to it, but on the radio you will be Pert Near Sandstone, just so you know.
All right. Good.
Can't call you Pert Near because then, that might throw people for a loop. It might be a whole new band, like, whoa, who's Pert Near? No, it's Pert Near Sandstone.
That's true. Yep.
So now,
could be formal.
All right, sounds good. That's how we do it here on Wisconsin Public Radio. Formalities.
Yep.
Now, how has your gigs been going? I know that Pert Near Sandstone's been traveling quite a bit lately.
We have been, yeah. Gigs have been going really well. We've been, we've been back in the studio working on a new album, so we've had a lot of FaceTime with each other as a band, working on music and writing and developing the sound of what's going to be sort of our future sound as well, and playing a lot, kind of testing new waters in terms of our music. And in general, I feel that we're kind of in a stride right now. We have been for the last, I'd say, maybe year or so, where things have just been really clicking with us as a group, and the music, and really in terms of our live performance, things have just been a lot more fun than they have, or they've been sort of reinvigorated in ways that they haven't been for a while, and it's been really a lot of fun to play with these guys. Performances have been just a blast. We seem to be really connecting with audiences everywhere we go. The audiences coming out to support us have been remarkable. And and things have just been going really well on the road lately for the group. And I think which in small ways is due to just we've been touring in more segmented touring spurts.
Okay.
So rather than what we've been doing for the last 6 years or so, has been as we've been touring around the country. heavily. We've been doing it every weekend. We've been going out on the road, and then as well as larger 2-week stints
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And now we're kind of we're in a routine where we're going out for a couple weeks, back home for a couple weeks, going out for a couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and when we're back home, we'll maybe play at First Avenue or somewhere else in the region,
Okay.
or be involved in music
Mm-hmm.
with our own little side projects.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of having a little bit of space to breathe and relax, and then get back and hit it hard on the road is definitely helps us in a lot of ways to give the full energy to the music and
Mm-hmm.
to the performance. And it's been, like I said, it's been more fun lately than it's been in years. So
Kind of went through a little dry spell, it sounds like.
yeah, well, not necessarily a dry spell so much as it just became routine. You do anything.
Mm-hmm.
They call it playing music. It's just going out on the road and having a good time and hanging out with your friends and making good music. But
Mm-hmm.
like any job, it becomes routine after a while, and it doesn't get dry so much as it maybe just loses a little bit of spark that it had. And lately, it's been getting that spark back for us. So.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. Now, how long have you guys been together as Pert Near Sandstone, or even before that when it was an untitled band?
Yeah, I believe it was November of 2004.
Okay. All right. So
So
you
that's
guys.
that's when I joined the group. It was just maybe a month or so before that
Mhm.
that the group got together as a little trio, and with Ryan and Jay and Kevin,
Mhm.
and then I came along a couple months later,
Mhm.
and we all knew each other back from high school. So it was it was just sort of like a reacquaintance, stumbling back in with each other, realizing like, oh, our development after college kind of all went the same direction, and
Mhm.
just decided to sit down and make some music together.
Mhm. All right.
And it turned into the band. Humble beginnings indeed. And the next thing we know, we never expected to be traveling around the country playing music,
Mhm.
or writing songs that we were recording
Mhm.
and spreading around. So it was a pretty interesting story, I think, of these. It's kind of a romantic idea of these high school friends that went their separate ways and came back and started this band. So we're happy to to be a part of that story.
Mhm. Yeah, and it sounds great. It kind of sounds like it was just a hobby of sorts and kind of grew from there.
Well, yeah, everyone kind of had their own musical projects going at the time. Some of
Okay.
us had better, more serious careers.
Mhm.
Some of us,
Day
like
jobs, you
Jay and
mean?
Ryan, yeah, day jobs, yep. And Jay and Ryan both, still have more serious day jobs teaching music, and
Mhm.
Jay's a music teacher full time, and Kevin works downtown full time, so he still has his serious, day job.
Right.
But yeah, just kind of more and more music started replacing the spare time we had, and it eventually started replacing the day job time that we were setting aside and
Okay.
scheduling, and it became what it is today, which is definitely more of our main occupation, what we all want to be doing, spending our time doing. So.
All right, sounds great. Do you have any advice for upcoming musicians? I interview them all the time, and they tell me that they want to be a rock star, or they're happy with what they're doing right now, which is working at a coffee shop, and then they get to play the stage later. But do you have any advice for some of those musicians that are looking to take it further? Is it very much so you got to roll with the punches, and it's a long, hard road to get to the top, as I quote Bon Scott from AC/DC?
Yeah, yeah, right. It's. I would say, get out there. My advice, I think, what worked for us as a group coming up was just get out there and meet people, and get out there and support music. Really, you're out there meeting people, you're hearing music, you're absorbing the influence, you're getting to know the fans, other people that are out there supporting music.
Mhm.
and yeah, and just keep doing it. I mean, the more music you make, the more you're gonna, the more the music is really gonna be speaking what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you're trying to say. And yeah, and definitely, meeting people, all the friends that we've met in the music scene along the way have been nothing but a huge help for us, and have been support for us, and it's become truly a family of musicians, and even our fans are definitely included in that family in a large way. And sometimes, an intimate way is not just people that we're looking at from 7 feet in the air or whatever, but they're actually people we're hanging out with when we're on the road. They're people who started out as fans who have become really close friends, and always huge supporters. And so just being out there and being involved in the scene, hiding up in a log cabin writing music you might write the best song in the world, but if nobody hears it, it's not gonna do anybody any good. So.
Well, there you go. Now, do you have a favorite local artist that has kind of really influenced you throughout this whole excursion?
Yeah, I've quite a few local musicians have really, coming up in the Minnesota music scene. People like Spider John Kerner. And now I'll reference a couple of the older musicians who have been, who are like the living legends who are out there making great music still. But like Dakota Dave Hall has been a huge influence. Peter Ostrushko, who's I just picked up his Mandolin Chronicles, which is a 3 CD compilation of various world musics and folk musics, and where he's playing with Norman Blake and Nancy Blake, and it's incredible recording. And Pop Wagner as well. And then I'll start getting a little more modern. Charlie Parr is definitely a great influence of ours and a great friend. And just his just energy to go drive across the country and play a show and then drive all the way back home to his wife and kids is definitely an inspiration as well in other ways. He definitely teaches people how to tour and how to travel.
Right. And still have a family at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a hard balance to achieve, and he does it, as far as everyone can tell, pretty well.
Yeah.
And then, there's the Brass Kings have been great. Lonesome Dan Case is a huge influence of ours as well. The Front Porch Swinging Liquor Pigs. There's there's great local bands that most people up in the Duluth area probably haven't heard of, but have been just huge influences and advocates of us as well. So. All
right. So definitely the Duluth music family has kind of rallied around its brothers.
Oh yeah, yep. The Hobo Nephews as well. They've been great friends and part of our family as well. So.
Yeah, and to reiterate that, those guys aren't from Minnesota. They're from New Jersey.
Yep.
I'm
that's true. They're part of the scene, though.
Oh, they are. Oh, yes, they definitely are. I love those guys. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because I'll talk to people about them, and they are from New Jersey. Like over there, it's kind of like a rough and tumble crowd. And I was talking to Teague one time, and he told me that it's very much so. You're looking to make money, so you play covers. You don't do original music out there. And I mean, I'm glad they found their way to Minnesota because they create just amazingness, with the stomp boards and just their guitars and just their voices. And
they do, yeah.
They definitely do.
Incredible.
They definitely do, and it's kind of interesting that they definitely took that Minnesota approach to their music, even though they're probably in one of the more progressive states, you could say. So, so it's just kind of interesting that Minnesota has that influence on people.
Yeah, I think there's just definitely that rich energy and that there's that sound and tradition here that's kind of a, it's like a do-it-yourself. It's like a give it all you got and see what comes back. And generally, it's fortunately just the kind of scene where you will get that energy back from other musicians and from an audience. We're really happy there. in our scene, and we're really looking forward to playing with them at the Minnesota Zoo. Actually, our next show
Oh,
we
very
have coming
cool.
up.
All
So
right.
yeah,
All right, sounds good. Don't play next to any of the rhinos or maybe lions. You might get a few growls in there.
yeah. We'll try to avoid large, intimidating animals.
There you go. Play next to the little cute fuzzy bunnies or something.
Yeah. I saw a show actually. Was it the Carolina Chocolate Drops? I saw them play at the Minnesota Zoo,
Hmm.
and they're just a great band. But they had like frogs hopping across the stage
Oh,
in front of
really?
them, and they're
Oh.
being like attacked by giant moths, and they're like stopping in the middle of the song. Justin, their fiddler at the time, got up and rescued a frog from the stage so it wouldn't get stepped on, and it was pretty
Oh.
funny.
Yeah. Cute.
Wild place to play.
There you go. All right. Maybe you'll play in the butterfly garden. That'd be kind of cool. Get
That would
like
actually be
beautiful,
awesome.
beautiful butterflies like sitting on your guys' clothes and hats. I don't know. Anyway,
That'd make a great music video. I'll have to
it would
think
make
about that.
make a great music video. Okay. All right. There's an idea for you.
Yeah.
Now, mandolin. It's not really an instrument that you think of when you say a band. I mean, kind of automatically it goes to guitar, drums, maybe a bass. Now, mandolin for you, was that kind of your first instrument, or was it an instrument that needed to be picked up and kind of needed to be filled in the band?
For me, so how I stumbled into mandolin, kind of a circuitous route. I started out playing guitar back in junior high school. I was in various bands and things, and as I started getting more into folk music, bluegrass, the banjo is pretty prominent. You don't necessarily think of banjo when you think of bands either, but
Right, right.
when you're talking about bluegrass and folk music, the banjo has a pretty prominent role.
Hmm.
So I picked up a banjo and played it for about 3 months and gave it up for mandolin. So, and for me, everything I learned on the banjo just went back right into the guitar. So I started learning fingerstyle guitar because I was learning banjo rolls,
Hmm.
and I was like, well, this isn't I want to pick up something else. I want to find another instrument that's more folky. I thought more string band oriented.
Hmm.
Listening to bluegrass and things, the guitar has almost a lesser role in some ways. And in the traditional approach, it's just strictly a rhythm instrument. So I wanted to play melodies. I wanted to have that that kind of fiddle tune capability.
Okay.
And so I traded my banjo for my first mandolin, and it was great because I started traveling around after high school, and playing the mandolin is definitely a lot more portable than the guitar. I was able to hitchhike around with the mandolin strapped to my pack versus carrying this huge other piece of luggage.
You're right.
And it was great. I went traveling around. I brought it over to Ireland with me. I brought it all over Canada,
Hmm.
picking up fiddle tunes, playing with people as I went.
Hmm.
And it's kind of how I stumbled into the mandolin, and had a little folk trio with some people that I worked with at a grocery co-op in Minneapolis. And right around that time is when I ran into the other guys, and we were all listening to a lot of Garcia Grisman, that kind of post or pre "Oh Brother Where Art Thou" kind
Okay.
of folk music style stuff that was popular at the time.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of like ballads. It's a lot of little fiddle folk tunes, and it just kind of was what I was really into and what I was playing, listening to the new Lost City Ramblers and trying to just absorb all these different artists and songs that I had never heard before growing up, really. And it was like a whole new world opening up, and yeah, the mandolin definitely is what brought me there. And so it's maybe not a typical instrument,
Hmm.
but after I started playing it, I started realizing, well, Led Zeppelin had a mandolin, Blind Melon had a mandolin. There's a lot. It's definitely in the music. It's definitely a part.
Yeah.
Maybe not always a prominent role like it is in folk music, but it's
Right,
definitely
right.
a common instrument. It's probably older than the guitar in a lot of ways. So
All right. All right.
It's much better than the guitar, really.
I know, right? I've picked it up myself. I struggled with the guitar for about 8 years. It never
Yeah.
clicked. Still hasn't clicked.
Yeah, it's
I was at my end
takes
of the
some.
rope of trying to figure out, if I wanted to play an instrument or not. Out on a whim, I picked up the mandolin, and I cheat and I play chords, but it makes a lot more sense to me in my mind. And
Oh yeah, it
since,
does. Yeah.
yep, since I'm a smaller person, oh man, having something that I can actually maneuver around is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, just to pick it up and strum it. It's a great instrument. It just
Mhm.
sounds nice.
Mhm.
And if you're playing chords in a jam, you might be, because it's not as popular of an instrument. You're more
Right.
likely to find a place in any jam session
Mhm.
around any campfire. So
Yep. Yep. All
that's
right.
great.
All right. Sounds good. So you're very much so a mandolin player, but you also kind of play guitar and banjo there. It sounds like. And any other instrument that you're thinking about picking up?
Well, aside from the fiddle, which I'm always still working on the fiddle, I've kind of played that about half the time in the band still.
Okay.
Um, and so I'm definitely wearing that role, and I'm always still learning new techniques and new styles. And
Mhm.
um, the fiddle is the mandolin. I found pretty easy to come by with, because I played guitar and banjo, and I had that flat picking technique
Mhm.
somewhat down when I started playing mandolin. That it was a lot easier for me to develop into the mandolin. Where the fiddle, it might have the same fingerings as the mandolin, the same scales,
Okay.
but it has that big stick with horsehair, and it's a little bit, it's much different than a pick.
Mhm.
And playing fiddle style, it's all about that bowing. It's like you can
Mhm.
play the same notes as Pavarotti, but every fiddler is gonna be bowing it differently, and that's where the sound is,
Mhm.
fiddle. And so that's definitely gonna be, a lifelong journey with the fiddle, and which I'm looking forward to. Always
Mhm.
learning new tunes, new styles, new
Mhm.
approaches. I'm actually taking lessons with a guy, Tom Sauber, who plays with Tom, Brad, and Alice. He's a great fiddle player,
Okay.
and banjo player as well, but he plays like an Oklahoma style,
Mhm.
like an early Depression era style that he learned from this guy Earl Collins, this old timer,
Mhm.
who he came across as a kid learning fiddle growing up.
Okay.
And yeah, so always learning fiddle, and and continuing to progress on the mandolin.
Mhm.
In terms of new instruments, yeah, I don't know. I really want to pick up piano. Actually,
Okay.
not sure how I'd be able to make the piano fit in Pert Near Sandstone, but it's
Mhm.
on my bucket list of instruments to learn. I love the piano.
Mhm.
I love like that ragtime jazz and that boogie woogie that you
Mhm.
can get. That stride style on the piano is something about it is just the best.
All right.
Um, so someday I'm gonna pick that up.
Well, there you go. Good luck to you on that one, and good luck to you on fiddle.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And now, what does the band have for itself in the works? You kind of mentioned that you're going into the studio again to record.
hmm Yeah, we're working on a couple different projects right now. Um, we just released the Ship of Fools single, which
Okay.
has Ship of Fools as the main track, and then Be Here is the B side
Mhm.
song that I wrote, and then a song that Kevin wrote. And so that was kind of a big project. We did a whole animated video for that. So
Mhm.
kind of now that that's out there, it's taking a step back and taking a breath. But we've been in the studio recording a new full release album, and we're also working on hopefully it's going to become another live album
Okay.
sometime soon. So
Mhm.
it's kind of both of those two projects are kind of jockeying for position right now, in terms of which one we're going to put out first.
Mhm.
But in the next year, they'll both be out for sure.
All right.
Uh,
I'm
and
looking
yeah,
forward to it then.
yeah, us too. Us too. The song, rather the album that we're working on in the studio
Mhm.
is all original right now. Um, and it's some great songs. It's songs that no one's ever heard before. We tried something different with this group. We've never, over the past years, the albums have consisted of songs that we've kind of slowly written and put together and tested on the stage and developed and then recorded.
Okay.
Which I think is how most bands do it,
Mm-hmm.
that we're aware of. But this was a little bit of a different project for us. We all had, a couple months off,
Mm-hmm.
and we all decided that we needed a new album, and we're looking at the songs we had, and we decided just to try all going our separate corners and writing new songs and coming back together.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the time scheduled, we had everything lined up, so it was going to be what it's going to be.
Okay.
And we all went our separate directions and recorded the songs and came back, and in 3 days taught them to each other and finished them and helped each other write lyrics and arrange the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went into studio, and the next 3 days we recorded it.
All right.
So we have now all these new songs that we're just kind of doing the finishing touches on, recording the final vocal takes, mixing them, and it's pretty exciting. We're kind of just like sitting on this like mine of new tunes right now that we're really excited to get out to the world, but we're kind of biding our time and making sure it's the right songs, the everything is jiving well, but it's great. We're really excited of it. It's a lot of new material, even a lot of new maybe new approaches at writing music and new sounds that we've been hearing and now not quite sure how to fit in our music, but now we're making it work, and we're really stoked to get that out next year.
All right, sounds wonderful, and something else that I can't wait for. When that comes out, definitely let me know so I can grab one from the Electric Fetus or just bother you about it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send one your way for sure.
All right, sounds good. Now, if people want to get a hold of you guys, to book something or to just let, a fan wants to let you guys know how much they enjoy your music, you guys do have a Facebook page, Pert Near Sandstone. Do you guys have a website or anything else out there?
We do, yep. PertNearSandstone.com. You can find all of our contact information there. But we also we have a Twitter page, so we love talking to fans, interacting with people on Twitter. Facebook is definitely a good way to get in touch with us as well.
All right.
And yeah, definitely out at the shows. We love chatting with people out at our shows. So that's always a good way to get in touch with us as well.
All right, sounds good. And now up on your Facebook page, you'll have your tour and things like that as well.
Yep. And and our website again is pertnearsandstone.com.
All right.
And that has also, as well as our Facebook, our entire concert lineup that we have coming up for this summer, which is going to be some pretty fun festivals that we're doing.
All right, sounds good. Good luck to you on the road there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Crystal.
Yeah, of course. And now, just one final note. Do you have any side projects going on, or is that kind of other members and they're doing their own thing and you've got your own kind of solo thing going on?
Nope, I have a couple projects as well. I've been for years doing the Town Hall Stompers, which has a rotating cast of characters. Often everyone in Pert Near Sandstone has filled a chair in that group at some point in time, and and that actually at different points has just been more of a solo, not necessarily a solo thing for me, but a smaller number, maybe a 2 or 3 piece group. So that has a very rotating cast of members, but the Town Hall Stompers is kind of a very traditional approach at string band style music, so even more traditional than Pert Near Sandstone, which is the music that I really love and listen to
All right.
quite predominantly. And then I also am a member of the Fiddlers with Ryan Young from Trampled, and I, and Jake Heyer, who plays in Pocahontas County and used to be in the Get Up Johns, plays with Martin Devaney as well. And then Justin Brune, who plays upright bass. So it's 3 fiddles and an upright bass fiddle. And then we have Jillian Ray and Chris Forsberg also. It's kind of a bit of a rotating cast as well, but it's all fiddles and it's all fiddlers and fiddle tunes, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty fun project that we're going to be playing. I think we're playing at the Boats and Bluegrass Festival, I believe, coming up with that project.
All right.
So, as well as the Turf Club, we're playing down at the Clown Lounge in Minneapolis. If anybody's down there, they can check out. We have a Facebook. We don't have a website yet for the Fiddle Airs, and that's HEIRS, like air. But we do have a Facebook page there, so you can check us out.
All right, sounds good. Well, good luck to you on all sides of your music career.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Crystal. Appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, and thank you for calling in and taking time out of your busy day to talk to me.
For sure.
All right, sounds good. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, bye.